Hello, Sarah Sabin, Executive Leadership and Intuition Coach here. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about emotional triggers and why they are a good thing. Before anyone out there says to me, oh, but Sarah, I'm not emotional, you are, because we all have emotions because we are all human. If you are mostly calm, but you feel frustration, irritability, or anger with your team, that is still that is still an emotion. Anxiety, also still an emotion. So covering off that point, I really want to impress the message that negative emotions are not a bad thing. They're actually a good thing. And for the generations sort of over the age of 30 upwards, we were never taught about emotional regulation in school at all. But a lot of the information being put out there now is around negative emotions are bad. You should never feel bad. If something is making you feel bad, it's wrong or awful, and you should push back against it instantly, which is how we come to be in a very polarized world at the minute. So essentially, what a negative emotional trigger is an opportunity for learning something or doing something that will help to shift us back to a positive emotion. So they actually serve a very important purpose. And when I say a positive emotion, it could also be neutral as well, which is very helpful for thinking rationally and analytically, etc. The problem is that when someone says something to you at work, in life, in any context that you don't want to hear or doesn't align with your belief system, you will often have an emotional reaction to it. So that might be anger, it might be disappointment, it might be frustration, whatever it is, you have an emotional reaction to it. And instead, what often happens is instead of taking the time to look at that and be like, that's interesting that I'm feeling that negative emotion. Maybe I should listen to what this person has to say, and slash, or maybe I should explore why exactly I'm feeling triggered in this instance. A lot of people, instead of doing one or both of those things, will just shut down the conversation. Be like, no, no, you're talking rubbish. I'm not listening to you, etc. Shutters go down. Now, a better way of dealing with this, which means that you're going to be more able to learn, to improve, and to move forward in your career and life, is to realize this. No one can make you feel a certain way. So your emotional internal environment is your own responsibility. An example of this, you have two people exposed to exactly the same situation. One is super emotional about it. The other person is like, well, it just is what it is. What are you going to do? It's not the environment or situation, it's the person's reaction to that. But it is a whole lot easier to blame the other person, call them an idiot, and tell them they don't know what they're talking about, or decide that they are incompetent and deeply frustrating. They may well be incompetent and extremely frustrating, but still, that doesn't take away your responsibility for your own emotional trigger. So, when you feel this emotional trigger, the smarter way of dealing with it is, I'm feeling this emotion right now, and it's making me want to shut down, and it's making me really resistant. I know that when that happens, maybe there's something I need to listen to in this. So you're recognizing and acknowledging the emotional trigger. You're not judging it. You're not tying it to the other person or situation. You're reframing how it is in your mind. You might want to park the emotion for that for then and come back to it later to reflect on exactly what was going on there and if it had a deeper root. Now, another point to note here is if, for example, your first emotion is anger or frustration, there's usually something underneath that as well. So an example is if someone is telling you something that is running completely contrary to everything you believe in your belief systems, that is really causing a nervous system dysregulation within you. So it can almost cause it can cause a fight or flight response within you. So it's much easier to shut it down than it is to acknowledge that what you believe might be wrong or might be partially wrong or that nothing is fully good or bad. There's numerous ways of looking at the same thing. When you realize that and you're like, okay, I'm having this emotional reaction because this person is challenging me, labeling the emotion and understanding the emotional reactivity starts to reduce it. So underneath anger, you might feel shame, for example, because you're like, oh my God, how could I believe this for so long when there's other evidence out there, for example. That frees you up to actually listen to what the other person is saying, to listen to it objectively. And even if you don't change your view, that's fine. But inevitably, you will learn something from listening to someone that has a challenging or opposing view. And quite often, you can incorporate elements of that into your thinking. So it also has the effect of increasing your ability to think critically and question things and look at things from multiple perspectives rather than just looking at it from one lens, which is unfortunately what often happens today. So, action step from this, next time you are emotionally triggered by what someone is saying, stop, recognize that that is what's happening, try and identify the emotion in the moment, calm yourself down, and actually fully try to listen and be present to what that person is saying to you. I promise you, you will learn something.